Okay, welcome everybody. Welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm here with Akea Collins today. She has a powerful testimony. I'm so excited for you to hear her story. Go ahead and share this broadcast while we are getting everything set up. Hopefully, this story is going to be able to touch a lot of people. So, Akea, thank you so much for joining. I am so excited to have you on my channel and to uh, hear your story a little bit more in more detail for my own self, and then, to get your story out there to everybody who's listening. So, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, like where you live and where you grew up, and kind of how you ended up getting to where you are now? Is a long process. So let's start at the beginning. Like, where did you grow up? How did you grow up?
So I grew up in Hollandale, Mississippi. It's about the size of a pity prick on the road map. Like you can drive down the freeway, potentially pass it if you don't know where you're going because it's that small. So I grew up there. When I got older, my mom married someone in the military and we moved away. So I got the opportunity to travel the world and see a lot of things. And it just took off from there. As I got older, I ended up in the military. My mom made too much money, as always. She worked two jobs to make sure we didn't struggle. So then it was my turn to join the military because I wanted to go to college, couldn't afford to go to college. So the only thing I knew, I can go to the military, be paid, get my college, and the deal was to do enough time to get a free education and then, turn the corner and do what I have to do. But it kind of didn't go that way. And so
Oh,
right now I'm currently located in South Haven, Mississippi, and I'm a regional for, I do HRBP for one of the gaming companies. That's basically what ended up after I retired from the military. That's what got me here.
wow. And so how old were you when you joined the military, and what branch did you join?
I was 19. I did it, what, 3 days before, after my birthday, yeah, after my birthday, after my 20th birthday. So I signed up and then it was official 3 days after my birthday. So I was roughly about 20 years old when I joined
Wow. What branch?
the Army.
Army. Okay, awesome. I'm an Army vet too, so that's amazing. And so you joined the military, you were 20 years old, you go off to boot camp, you get stationed somewhere. And what in your personal life is happening during this time?
So, I'm 20. I ended up, for whatever reason, us military people, we always get married, right? For whatever reason, I don't know if it's like, hey, when you enlist, get married. That's the thing to do. Follow suit. Everybody gets married. Well, downside of being married is you don't know the person. We don't know what each other are capable of. We're learning each other through it because we rushed into it. We met, got married, and then we proceeded at an attempt of what we call married life together. Well, it kind of ended that way. So long story short, one day I got to work and my first sergeant comes in. He says, "Hey, we got to go to CID." What do you mean we got to go to CID? I've been, in the military. I hadn't really, been doing much. I knew that I was married, nothing major. So I'm like, okay, all right. So he was like, "Well, you're married, right?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm married." So I'm like, "Well, what does this have to do with me going to CID?" Like, because at this point we're barely a year or so in our marriage. I'm freshly new into the military, still like at my 2 year mark. So, I do what my friend tells me. I get in the vehicle, go to CID. Well, get to CID, they book me. And I'm like, whoa, wait, this took a turn. I thought I was just coming down here. I really didn't know what I was coming down with because no one told me anything. Nobody gave me a heads up. Well, they booked me on 4 charges. And I'm like, well, you and your husband were caught on camera. I'm like, caught on camera at the PX, you were shopping. Okay, is that a crime to shop? Well, come to find out, got the 4 charges, which are all felony. They gave me larceny of atheist property, wire fraud, larceny of private fraud funds, and conspiracy. And I'm like, wait a minute. I've heard of larceny. Larceny is stealing. So wait a minute. I didn't steal anything. I went and, now I'm playing it all back in my mind because at the time that this took place, I was in Washington State, stationed at Fort Lewis, and my ex-husband was stationed in El Paso, Texas. So I'm like, I just went back a couple weeks ago and we went shopping together. He told me to put it on my star card. Come to find out, on the star card, they had somehow some kind of connection with some young lady. She gave them account numbers, government account numbers, to pay the bills. So you take your card, you pay the charges, they pay the card off with the account numbers. So I'm sitting there, face on the floor, I'm crying, I'm embarrassed. And they're like, well, you didn't know any of this was going on. I was like, well, my husband was in charge of the bills. I'm only in the reserves at this point. I'm just working. I'm going to college. I don't have income, so I actually don't even know what you're talking about. Do some research, lost my job because I was a contractor. So at this time, I'm losing everything because once they put these type of charges on me, they take your security clearance, you take your promotable status. I was promotable to E5, so they took that. I lost my contracting job because I was actually in the midst of moving to Fort Bliss, Texas with him. So I'm just losing everything, losing. I'm losing money. I lost where I lived. Would have lost my vehicle. To be honest, I should have lost my vehicle, but I thought quick. They were like, well, anything that you pay with those bills, you need to pay it off. So my mom always told me I was a hustler. So I'm like, okay, how can I do this? By the time they let me go, I went trading in my vehicle. I was like, no, you guys are not going to leave me stranded. I can't be without because of something I had no clue. So going through that for a year and a half, I couldn't PCS, I couldn't active duty, I couldn't do anything because I didn't have the ability to have a security clearance. So everything is tumbling. When I tell you, I mean, I'm losing weight because I'm not eating, can't afford to eat, don't have any income. He's all the way in Texas. I don't want to look at him at this point because I'm like, you potentially set me up. Did you know that this was going to be the end game? Like, what's going on? Because you're responsible for our bills, right? All this is going on. My whole world is crumbling. I didn't have a mentor. I could tell my mom a little bit, but she wasn't in the military. She was just a military wife. So she didn't understand then. I couldn't tell my dad. He was an alcoholic. So he wouldn't probably potentially be wide awake enough to understand. And so I'm just like, okay, God, use me. Let me get down on my knees. Let me pray through this. So when you do the research, I lost my security clearance, but it actually helped me go to my previous contracting job and win my unemployment suit. I didn't lose my job because of negligence in their workplace. I lost my job due to negligence in the Army side. So I was able to fight that. I wrote that myself, proved that I had no disruptions. I wasn't terminated from my job because I did something. So I literally had something that didn't even have anything to do with me, and I'm being forced because I'm married to take these charges because he paid my bills with these numbers. So they ruled in my favor. So I'm like, okay, cool. Now we have unemployment. I got $700 a week for 2.5 years. I'm like, okay, God, what's next? Finish your degree. So I'm taking all of this negative and now I'm pushing it positive because I think once I got to the moment, I'm like, hey, this is not your fault. You have to do what you're supposed to do. Keep going. Don't stop. Okay, God, what's next? Okay, get your degree. All right, what's next? Hey, stuff is starting to brighten up. I think I was in the reserve, so my first time I was like, hey, we need your work ethic. Can you come in orders? I got to work around for you. Don't worry about it. I'll make sure you get computer access. I know you need a Nipper account, but you don't need an email. I'll set you up because he was the G6. So he set me up with like a workaround account so I can still do metrics, still input data. Like everything kind of started rolling over in my favor because I didn't give up. So I'm still piecing it together. I'm like, okay, how can I do this? Like, what am I going to do? How am I going to pay these bills? Because that's enough, but it's not permanent. Keep going. Okay, God, what's next? Well, through all that roller coaster, I'm going through a divorce. I happen to go get pregnant. So I'm like, holy crap, like what next? Now I'm pregnant. I don't have my military career right now. What am I going to do? Because I need steady income. I need medical for baby. She didn't ask to be here, so what can mom do? Well, I commander, I need you to fix my security clearance so I can go back on active duty. I need this right now. I need this to happen. I did nothing wrong. I will sign whatever statement. You guys can fry my brain for information and data. You can laser beam it to see if it's real. I had no idea this was taking place because I'm not even in Texas right now. How can I do these types of things and I'm all the way here? And I'm telling you guys, I had no idea because if you trace the IP, it's not in my email address. It's not my computer. So commanders wouldn't take no for an answer. He was young. He was ready to go. He's like, I got you. If you're not lying to me, I'm not lying. So he kept pushing back to OPM to finish my investigation. He was like, if she didn't do anything, you don't have any. It came from a higher active duty brigade, how they got the numbers. He said she's not even in the brigade. Just because she potentially ran into someone, proved that she knew what was going on. They finally closed it 3 years later. This went on from the end of 2009 all the way to about June 2012. My
So
security clearance was on hold.
During this time, that there's the investigation, are you having to actively like relive this every so often? Are people still calling you
every
like
day.
wanting? Oh my. So you were literally
You need to tell
living
me what happened.
this every day for 3 years while this investigation was going on, while you're trying to go to school, while you're trying to get a job, while you're trying to get unemployment, and now you find out you're pregnant. You're still having to relive everything that your husband, soon to be ex-husband at this point, had done every day for 3 years.
Every day.
Oh my
Because
goodness.
everybody's asking, are you sure it happened this way? Are you sure?
Mm.
Listen, not to be funny, I don't look good in orange, and I'm definitely not going to jail. So no, this is not it.
Yes.
I'm not
Right.
for it.
Yeah, exactly.
And so,
Wow. And what, like, during this time, like, can you recall those days when you were doing this? Like, what was your motivation? I mean, obviously once you were pregnant, it was probably being a mom and providing for your child, but before that, like, what was your motivation to get up and to go pursue your dreams, like to keep going? Like, how come you didn't give up? Because there's a lot of people who in this situation would have just said, this is ridiculous, life handed me an unfair uh, cards that were dealt to me. This is totally nonsense. What made you continue to like get up every day and believe that something is going to change for your benefit? What was that? Do you remember?
so this, yeah, oh, I can tell you verbatim. One day I was going to school and they had an opportunity to take a CNA course to work at the hospital. So I said, you know what? I always wanted to be a nurse. Let's try. You have to be a CNA first. So had some money saved up. I took the course. Well, I ran out of money from taking the course. I needed $50 to pay for my state certifying. So, because your name has to be on the list for you to work in the hospital as a certified CNA, I needed $50. So I called then my ex-husband or my husband who was supposed to help me. I said, hey, listen, because you're active duty, they didn't cut your paycheck. They're still paying you. Hey, I need $50 for you to pay for me to get my name on the register list so I can work. He told me, F me, he don't care if I work or how I. So I said, wow, you literally are the reason. And it's, it's a little bit of my fault too, because maybe I should have been paying attention to how he was paying the bills. But I was 19 and 20. When
Yeah.
somebody's paying all your bills, at that time, you don't understand that you need to pay attention. You have to learn that.
Right.
I'm like, wow, you can't even give me $50 to pay for my cert, to get my name registered on this list so I can work and make my own money. I cried. I remember calling my uncle. He was a truck driver. Uncle, listen, I know you're driving. I need you to pull over and send me some money. Because I hadn't told anybody but my mom, and I begged her not to tell. He was going on. I broke and told him. And he said, oh, no. What you need? So he sent me $300. He said, that's going to get you your certification. That's going to get you some food and some gas money to get your first paycheck. He said, don't run through the drive-thru. Go get you some ham and cheese and some bread. Make your lunch every day. We're gonna get you to where you need to be. And at that moment, I'm like, you know what? I don't need him. I do not need a husband that can't even give me $50. At this point, I'm using it as an excuse not to make it. Because if I would have let him hold me to that $50, I could have lost right. And that was actually the game changer. That was the game changer at that point, to where I knew that the divorce needed to hurry up and be final, and that wasn't the life I wanted to lead. Because we're supposed to be married, whether we go through it or not. But you put me here. You paid our bills. You put me here, and I can't even get $50.
Wow.
And at that moment, I was just like, okay, I see you, God. I see where you're trying to take me. That whole removing people from my life, you did that. You did that. I understand God has to kind of tear you down, remove everything, get you to the environment where you have to build you back up so you can have clarity. So that's exactly what he did behind the $50.
Wow. That is just so incredible, honestly, that you would have the wherewithal to think there's a way out of this situation. Like, this can absolutely get changed. It can get turned around. This isn't going to be the end of my story. I still have, many more chapters in my life to write. That's just amazing. So, bring me back to you're filing for divorce now, but you find out that you're pregnant or you're waiting to get divorced. What happens then?
So I actually had my baby before my divorce was finalized. So the thing about it, where I didn't slip up. I knew what I was doing, but I got pregnant by somebody else because in the state of North Carolina, you got to be divorced. You have to be separated for a year. So they tell, oh, presumed to be the father. No, he's not. We're not going to play that game today. We already know it's not him. He tried to come back and say that it was. I'm like, you need to stop. I
Wow.
haven't seen you in over a year. We had to physically be separated for a year, like no contact for the state of North Carolina to grant the divorce. Sir, don't do that to me. Don't come back and try to say that this is going on and that they came to you. Sir, I didn't even use your medical to have my child. This was all me. I signed up through the state. Quit trying to, control me. Quit trying to be in charge of everything. This is not that. This is not your baby, and that this could take place. You like, who are you?
That's
To try to
wild.
control me into that. This baby is not yours. Not in no shape, form, or fashion. And so I went through that with him. And so the divorce, then he did something that was just even worse. He put the wrong name on the divorce papers. He took my first name, somebody else's middle name, his ex, and put my last name on the paper and submitted it. I'm like, really? So the court was like, ma'am, do you agree to this? No, I don't, because that's not my name. Who is this person?
Oh my
So when I
goodness.
sat down and thought, no, you didn't put your son's mom's information on our divorce. Yes. So guess what? It had to go back to the courthouse. Go back to the courthouse to be final, to go back to be fixed and amended, to go back for finalization.
That is just wild. So during this time, he's not like changed at all. He's still like doing all of this nonsense stuff that got you into trouble in the first place, that put you in this position. And he's showing like 3 years later, however many years later, 4 years later, he still hasn't changed. That's crazy.
Not one bit. Not one
So,
bit. Wasn't sympathetic, empathetic, anything.
oh, wow, that is just wild. And so what is going on in your head at this point? Like you have a baby, you're trying to kind of wrap up this previous chapter of your life. How what are you thinking about during this time? Are you feeling like you're going to get stuck being tied to him forever, or do you still have hope like I'm going to get away from him and
Oh,
this is going to get, finalized?
I'm gonna be honest. If there was no praying in that point, I said if I have to go to Texas, show my behind, and jump on him about this divorce, then that's just what I'm gonna do. Because I knew that I couldn't free myself and couldn't continue to have career progression. Everything in the military is an attachment. Everything that you do with your spouse is an attachment. To the point, I'll even be honest, I'm out the military now, so it doesn't matter. When you get married and you use, I got fine. So we'll fast forward. I've had the baby. I'm active duty now. I'm back on active duty. I got stationed in Alabama. Well, you use military resources. The child care facility is both spouses. So I'm like, hey, I need your pay stubs so I can put my baby in daycare until the divorce is final. He wouldn't give it to me. Oh, you don't want to give it to me? Don't worry about it. Let me doctor up this letter real fast and have you sign it. You don't want to sign it? I'll sign it myself. Because now you're hindering me. I can't even be a parent and send my baby to school because you don't want to sign paperwork. No, sir, don't worry about it. That was a risk I was willing to take. I made that note on his behalf, saying that we're separate and the divorce will be final in June.
Yeah.
I went up there, I signed it, I put his name on there. I don't care. I had to go to work. I needed to provide for my daughter. She needed to eat. And at that point, that was a risk I was willing to take. If somebody would have came back, listen, I'm going through this divorce. If I would have put his information on there and the divorce would be final in 2 months, I would have been stuck paying $1,000 daycare. I'm an E4 at this time. I can't afford $1,000 daycare. You guys,
And
I already live on.
yeah, no, exactly. And so, how exactly during this process has the investigation wrapped up? Were you cleared of all of the charges before the divorce was finalized? How did you end up getting back into the
No.
military?
So you're never clear. So this is what I learned through life. I learned this about 2 or 3 years ago. So if I knew then what I know now, I could actually never fix my charges. They will always be there. They're felony. They're 4 felony charges. They will always be tied to me.
Wow.
And then anytime I have to use anything, right now I work for the casinos. I had to beat the process because, truth be told, I didn't really want them to know what was going on in my previous life. I didn't do anything wrong. So I always have to be ahead of the game. So if I know that I have to get a certain type of license, when I apply for that license, I submit all of that paperwork with my license proving that there are no findings. Because for it's a FBI, it's an FB level 2 check. FBI level 2 check. So with that being said, it will always go to anytime you're dealing with gaming, anytime you're dealing with the military, working for the government, the hospitals, it's always level 2. And when you look at those charges, like we can't let you work in the casino with those charges, but I can testify against my husband. In the military, it's not allowed. They intentionally won't let you get divorced during your process, so you can't talk about it. So you can't, potentially, convict your own spouse. And, they're like, well, that'll create an environment. Well, look at my life. He doesn't care about the environment because he clearly didn't care if I would have went to prison, because those charges was $63,000 in restitution that I had to pay because of the damage with my bills. I had to pay the money back. And I lost everything, and I had to pull all my money out of my 401k and my TSP to pay that back to stay out of jail. So this is everything I learned on the ladder.
So you ended up being responsible for the charges that he had done without your knowledge. And what happened to him during this time? Like, was he also charged with something? Did he have to pay back anything? What happened to him? Or was it because
he lost some things? He got his car repossessed. I'm pretty sure he lost some financial income. He wasn't able to be, promoted for a while. I'm pretty sure he lost some things, but he'll probably never admit it to me. He'll probably never admit it. But
yeah.
And then I think about it too. We were young, and we didn't know that was going to take place. Honestly, we didn't even know how to handle it. At that time, yes, I was upset, but now it's been almost 13 years later since everything kind of took place. We're pushing close to like 11, 12 years. And funny enough, we're actually friends at this point in life. We've talked about, to an extent of what took place. He's apologized now. And I actually am thankful for him in a sense of the reason we got back in contact was my security clearance came back up again before I got off active duty for a renewal. And he contacted me. He was in Oklahoma. He said, listen, I don't want to give out any information without your consent. So when he said that, at that moment, I knew he grew. We got to talking, and hey, and he's like, I'm sorry. He's like, I was young. I didn't understand what I was doing to you. If you ever need anything from me, and this is just over time. This is 10 years later. We're both mature for it. Everybody learned, and I'm thankful for him. And the reason I say that, because it taught me not to be depending on anyone for anything. It taught me that I put all my hope into him, that he was going to fix it. And that's not how it's supposed to go.
Wow, that is absolutely incredible. I love that you were actually able to reconnect later on, 10 years later, and kind of find for sure, like, definite closure with it. And I think you're right. Like, being grateful for him for that experience, because it clearly taught you a lot of lessons that you would need later on in life, right? About pursuing your dreams, about not giving up, about no matter what, continuing to press on, which I'm sure has served you as a business owner, which we're going to talk about in a little bit. But that is just amazing. So you're never actually free of these charges. You just know how to use the system to your advantage now. If you need to apply to something, you know that you need to disclose the fact that they did a whole investigation, found nothing, it was closed out and all of that, because without it, they'll just kick you out, essentially. They won't even look at you.
I'll never get another job again. Nope, I'll never get another job. If I allow the system to work and take its time, I will be stuck at the house every time. Because I'm on corporate level positions, and I'm not ashamed of what I've done. But think about it: when that background check comes back to their office and they're looking at it, they're not going to call you and ask you what happened. They don't care. So if I can keep that conversation from taking place, then guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to do what I'm supposed to do. It happened over 10 years ago. But the thing about federal charges, they don't go away. You can't get federal charges expunged. So they will always be there.
Wow. And so fast forward now, you finally have gotten the divorce finalized. How old is your daughter at this point, and what are you doing in the military now?
My daughter at that point was roughly about 9 months. I'm active duty. I'm stationed in Alabama, and I'm going back to. I was a 42 Alpha, which is human resources, and I got right back into my field, and I kept going from there. I never stopped.
Wow. Wow. Okay. That's amazing. And so how long did you end up doing that time in the Army? How long were you in the Army for?
I did after that. I did almost 5 years active duty. I ended up one day I moved to my final duty station, went to sleep on the couch, woke up. I had slipped two discs in my back, and so my
Oh no.
time at my last duty station was cut short because I had to have neck and back surgery. Basically, because the doctor said I slept on the couch. He said sometimes your body it sets a certain kind of way. You may have twitched in your sleep and could have, knocked your disc loose, and it just kept going. I'm like, gosh darn, I'm just getting the crap into this. What is going on? But I look at it survival mode once again.
Wow, that's amazing and incredible. Again, this is just such an incredible and impactful story. I'm so grateful that you're willing to share it with all of us. So, did you're married now? So how did you end
No,
up
I'm not married anymore.
not married now?
No.
But do you have another child, or you just have the one?
Yeah, I do. I have another son. I have a 2-year-old. But when I
Okay.
got married I got married in 2016, so my second marriage, right? So I'm like, I'm ready. I'm gonna be married. This is what we're gonna do. That was the longest, worst. Look, if that's even proper, the worstest, most 9 months of my life. If that's even worse. I was married for about 9 months to someone that was probably a narcissist, and it was almost like a light switch. He was amazing in the beginning. We dated for like a year or two, close to 2 years. And then it's like once we got married, the light switch cut off. It completely cut off. And he was like 9 days. And I'm like, sir, if you had really showed me your true colors, you definitely wouldn't be in my space. You wouldn't be around me. I definitely wouldn't. At that time, I only had my daughter. You wouldn't be around my daughter. And during that time, I learned kind of be careful what you wish for. And we'll fast forward through the 9 months, all the way to the day I was like, we're getting divorced. This is it. I had hurt myself when I was rehabbing for my neck and my back. I had actually tore my ACL at rehab, and I had to have knee surgery to fix it. He said because basically I was pushing my body to a limit, and I had just exhausted it. Well, I sent my daughter to her dad's house because her dad lived about 45 minutes to an hour away. And my husband at the time was like, well, where's Lonnie? I said, well, she's at her dad's house. Well, why is she at her dad's house? Well, that's an obvious question that I had. So he gets into this argument like, oh, da 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 da, her dad, this. And well, first off, what I do with my child and her dad has nothing to do with you. There's no infidelity taking place. He's not hurting her. She's going with her dad. We're supposed to have husband and wife time this weekend. That's what I scheduled for. I got a night plan. That's what it is. Well, he decided to hit me because I said apparently what he didn't want to say. I don't know what demon is him. I don't know. The devil must have had him on the number one slot to get hurt that day. Because I said, sir, do you know? You know I will hurt you. Like literally, I carry a gun everywhere I go because I have small kids and I'm always alone for the most part. Sir, do you know I could really hurt you? Like, do you understand what the Army has taught me to do? They've always made women fight bigger people than them, so we know how to handle it. And I was on those crutches, and he hit me. I said, okay, I can get to that bathroom closet fast enough. And I'm being completely honest. I've never been hit by anybody that I've dealt with. I've never been physically abused, verbally abused, anything until I got in that marriage. You're not going to put your hands on me. You're not going to believe that this is the way of life. You're not going to you don't get to apologize because I know you'll do it again. Absolutely not. I think he knew where I was going in that house before I could even turn the corner. I threw them crutches down. I said, let me get the phone and call the police. Hey, come get him. He cannot live here. He can't stay here. If I could have had a camera recording, you guys would laugh at me. I was on a ladder on crutches trying to pull the garage clicker cord down because he had took the garage clicker. I crutched my butt to Home Depot and got me a new lock set to change all the locks. I'm like, you can't come back here. There's no way you're going to put your hands on me. I've went through too much in my life, and I'll be darned if you put your hands on me and you did it in the house where my child stays. Absolutely not. And so that was on New Year's Eve. On January 5th, I got up. I walked 3 flights of stairs to the courthouse on crutches, and I filed for my divorce. I said, there's no way you're going to put your hands on me.
Wow. Yes. And that's such a powerful move, to understand. Like, I talk a lot on my channel about drawing boundaries and understanding your own boundaries and things like this. And for you, it was like, that was we're not coming back from this. You're not going to apologize. You're not getting a second opportunity, to show me your true colors again. And that is
Right.
such wisdom. And I like really admire that. And I'm grateful that that was so like in the front of your mind to do that. Like this is done.
Right.
This isn't healthy, and
Right.
this is we're cutting this off right now. That's amazing. So how old is your son now?
My son is 2. He's about 2 years old, and he runs the house and the world. I call him my little terrorist.
That's amazing. Oh my gosh, that's just incredible. So what were you doing for work at that point when you were in the second marriage? What were you doing for work? And then can you tell us about how you ended up starting your own company?
Well, for work, I was actually on the tail end of medical retirement from Army because of remember I told you about my neck and my back surgery. So I was on the tail end of that. And then once I got divorced, this is how funny I am. I got divorced, and when the divorce was finalized, the lady called me while I was at rehabbing my knee. And I said, hey, can we push this session to tomorrow? I need to go get my divorce decree. She's like, are you serious? Oh, I'm dead serious. I gotta go. So that was on January 31st. I went through about 10 months of, going through the military and the VA, of getting my finalized med board completed. Went through that. Well, when I had my medical board complete, my son was born. I retired on New Year's Eve again in 2016, and no, 17. I'm sorry. Wait, I'm getting my years mixed up because I've been out 2 years. Okay. And so 2017, December 31st, I got out. Well, I was going to just stay in Florida with my kids once my son was born. Well, on the tail end of that, my mom got, what we thought was stage 4 cancer. She had a tumor that kept growing. So it was time to come back home. So I said, okay, I'll put my house up for rent in Florida. I hurried up and came back to Mississippi. My family gifted me my house. I was able to, renovate that and move into that. Well, I started working for the Westin Hotel as a director of HR. So I'm like, ooh, good job, fresh out the gate, HR for, a great brand, the Westin Jackson underneath the Marriott. Like you can't beat it. Well, the problem on my side for that was I was commuting to work 80 miles a day. I mean, 80 miles there, 80 miles back. So I was doing 160 miles a day with 2 kids.
Wow.
So, but in Mississippi, it's kind of like the luck of the draw. Like I really didn't want to move anywhere by my job because I knew it was temporary. And 2, I was paying out my mom's medical bills. I couldn't really afford to go make bills and still have to help her with her medical bills because cancer treatments, radiation, we didn't really know what was on the back end of once they went through the tumor, what was going to take place. We didn't know what we had to pay for. And I'm her only child. So, the finance burden is on me, plus my kids, plus myself. So I commuted. Well, one day I was sitting at work and I interviewed this girl. This is how I get to my business. I interviewed this girl, and her interview etiquette was just, I had to laugh during her interview because I couldn't believe she was in here using grown and, slang and improper dialect. I'm just like, hey, you're potentially going to miss your job because you don't know how to conduct yourself. Then I called one of my best friends on the phone. I'm like, Tip, I need your help. And about my experience that day with her in that interview. It hurt my soul that she couldn't, portray a better person in her interviewing technique. So one day I drive home, a couple days pass, God gives me a vision. Hey, you need to teach people how to interview. You need to give them the tools that you've learned in your job. You need to touch people and correct them so they can be better. Granted, they can't be 100% of what you give them, but maybe you can give them tidbits and tools to enhance themselves. Well, I drove all the way to Pizza Hut. I said, okay, 45-minute drive. So I'm like, I don't even remember how I got here. Let me put this on Facebook and see how the people react. I put it on Facebook, put the phone down, get home, they had shared the post probably 100 sometimes. I'm getting all kind of inboxes. I'm getting people that are saying, "Hey, if you do training for these kids, we'll help you." I got a videographer, a couple videographers saying, "Hey, we'll shoot a video for you if you need help. Like, this is a good message. Teach these kids something," because truth be told, their parents may not even know how to teach them. So I was like, "Okay, interview me now. That's what it's gonna be. Yeah, I'm gonna teach you how to interview." Well, guess what? You're not getting interviews if your resume is bad, right? So I started doing resumes, mock interviews, career coaching, teaching people how to take what you learned in college and actually pursue the job that you went to school for. But that just wasn't enough. And so it just went full on complete resume and my interviews. I'm doing them. I'm advising people on how to get through it. I'm advising people how to read through job descriptions and making sure that their resume matches the job description. And I just kept going because I just feel like a lot of people are great workers. They just were unable to take what they know and put it on paper. Because guess what? I can't do my own resume. I paid somebody to do mine because it's hard. You need somebody to get your brain going. You need those gears turning. Sometimes it takes another person to assist. And so that's basically how I came to it from my last job at the West End. And I'm going on year 2, and it's been going successfully. It's been going very well. I get a lot of input. I'm able to help a lot of people their dialect. I teach them. Even my younger ones are my big concern. Hey, when you go into a job, leave your phone in the car. Pay attention to your surroundings. Don't take your phone in that job interview. It'll be 30 minutes. Whoever's texting and calling you, they can wait till you're done. Teaching them how to go online, research the job before they get there so they can ask questions, because that's actually the icebreaker. If you can go into a job and ask them questions about their job during the interview, you'll 100% get the job, because they know now that you're actually interested and you paid attention to what's going on.
That is so good. Yeah, and that's so true. Exactly. Like you get this one opportunity essentially, like to get your resume in front of somebody who can actually do something with it, or and if that went well, then you have the one opportunity to get in front of somebody who does the interview, and like that's it. You have that one chance, that one shot, and you might have all of the skills for that position, but if you can't portray that, if you can't communicate it, and if you don't demonstrate that in the 20-30 minutes that somebody gets with you, you just miss the opportunity to not just get that job, but like better your life, and move forward your own self. So I think it's more than just a resume. It's more than just interview prep. It's like enhancing somebody's life is really what you're doing, giving them an opportunity to progress past beyond what they could ever get on their own. And that is just such wisdom for people to invest in themselves and to hire you and to do that. So you've been doing that now for 2 years, you said?
Yes, yes, yes. It's basically, now we're branding you. We're teaching you how to be your brand. You're the CEO of your own brand. So my perception of my perception of you is your reality. So if I look at you and I see a clean cut, neat person at the interview, that's what you are. If you come in the interview and you're sloppy, that's my perception. You're sloppy. I don't know if I want you here. I said, these are all the things that you have to gear yourself for to be a better candidate. And visual enhancement is everything. I tell everybody, they don't believe. I'm like, listen, I've seen girls come down there in Jackson with hair bonnets on. I know you didn't come in here in this nice, fancy, beautiful hotel with a hair bonnet on and some sandals, but people do it. And it's so many things that why people do it. Some people don't know. Some people actually can't afford the clothes. And so that was one of my things in my future. I wanted to take my business and enhance it. And I want to get mentors, especially for my younger crowd, and have a mentor them. Like, I can give them the tools, but keep on them about the tools I gave them, and help them buy their first button-up shirt and tie, maybe buy them their first dress and sweater if she's a female, and a pair of flats, because some young women and some young men actually really don't know what it's like, and it actually hurts their chances a lot of the times because they didn't show up to the interview properly. Not that they can't work, not that they don't understand or comprehend the job, they just didn't prepare to show up.
Yeah, wow, I love that. No, and that's so true. And when we were talking on the phone a week or so ago, I was even telling you, like, I noticed this for even my own self. Like, it's not that my point is that we can never stop growing or improving our own selves. And this is applicable to everybody. So even just now, if you're watching this live, if you're watching the replay, like really take a look at how people perceive you. This is something that I just hired a stylist to help me do, because I realized that maybe my look, so I did my hair today, but normally I just allow it like kind of however it decides to go. And that's good with me. I just don't need to waste time on it then. But that was really not portraying somebody who is a professional, somebody who has a PhD. It wasn't coming across that way to people when they would look at me. And it's like, and to me, it's like, who cares? Just listen to what I'm saying. You know, who cares what I look like? But it really impacts people to the point where maybe people won't take my advice if I don't look a certain way, if I don't present myself a certain way. So I think what you're saying is applicable for so many people on the end of like getting started, for sure. But I think all of us should be more conscious of the way that others are looking at us, the way that others are perceiving us, and kind of do a little editing in our own lives, you know, on a frequent basis, and just see, you know, hey, is this, as you would say, like actually my brand? Is this what I want people to think about when they think about me? Is this the image that I want that to come into their mind, you know, first off? So that's amazing. Thank you for sharing that too, because that is so, it's so true. And I just feel like it speaks so much truth to my own situation as well. This is like truly an incredible story. Your daughter is how old now?
She's 7 now.
And what has like your life and all that you have been through, like everything from like the army and the crazy stuff with your first ex-husband, the second ex-husband, having kids, 4 felonies, starting a business, you know, going back into the military, getting injured, rehabbing your body, all of that kind of stuff, everything that you have been through. What is it like? What out of everything that you've learned do you want to make sure that your daughter, that your son, your children take from you? And how does that translate into how you are as a mom?
So my kids test me every day. I learn something new every single day. And so what I went through, I try to, you know, like teach them in a sense of understanding, being aware of what's taking place, and don't just let everybody do things for you. Like learn how to be self-sufficient. So the piece of self-sufficiency with my daughter, if you guys ever see my Facebook, I'm always posting her. She loves to cook for herself. She loves to help. She wants to do this. She wants to do that. She wants to be completely independent. She wakes up at 6 o'clock in the morning and does her homework. I'm like, are you sure you're mine? Like, you're doing homework at 6? And so it's just little things like teaching her survival mode. My biggest thing as a parent, everybody has a fear of death. Well, that's not my fear, because death is inevitable. You can't stop it. You don't know the day that God's going to call your number. You don't know the day that you know, potential accident or situation, God might call you home at any time. You never know.
That's right. Yes.
But my biggest drive as a parent, no matter on any day, is I don't ever want anyone to say, kid didn't teach those kids anything. That's my biggest thing. So my kids, even my 2-year-old, when I tell you self-sufficient, my son has been using the restroom since he was 1. And everybody's like, oh, he's too young. No, I want him to be self-sufficient. If he tells us no, he don't want the snack, or he can go jump off the TV stand, he can jump off my couch, he can get up and go to the restroom. My daughter says she wants something to eat. If I'm on one of those days I don't feel like getting up to make her grilled cheese, she can get in the kitchen and get to the point of it may not be a mommy grilled cheese, but guess what? She can get up and go put it in the toaster and slap her cheese on there. She knows how to cut the oven on because it's just a regular electric stove. She knows how to get to the promised land. So my biggest thing is making sure my kids are self-sufficient, not so independent that people will think that they're like type A, but to the point that they can make it and manage things on their own. I taught my daughter how to tie shoes when she was 2. My son, he's on his way. They know how to get themselves together. They know how to dress themselves and brush their teeth. Like, people think, oh, these are life skills, but the earlier you can teach them, the better off they'll be. So if God calls me home, I'm pretty confident that nobody will truly have to worry about my kids in a sense of feeling like they're behind, or that they have to do excessive work to catch them up to the world. That's not it. My daughter has her own nail polish line at 7. She sells nail polish. Like, these kids will be self-sufficient.
That is amazing. I love that. I love what you said. Like, you don't want somebody to think that she didn't teach them anything. And so we're on this interview right now, and your kids are like behaving themselves. like, or is somebody else with them?
No, she probably.
That's amazing.
I hear YouTube. The baby's on vacation right now. The 2-year-old's on vacation, but my 7-year-old, I hear YouTube in the background. So I'm pretty sure she's watching Lexi, and because that's what she watched. She used to watch Ryan, but she grew up from Ryan, so now we're watching Lexi and Lexi.
That's
So
amazing.
she's self-sufficient. She's probably, not to be funny, since we've been on this, she's probably, I heard her in the kitchen, she's probably 8. I can hear the YouTube playing on the TV. She does fine.
So that's awesome too, because you have, we're in the middle of this kind of shut down kind of thing, like shelter in place or whatever. And I follow a little bit about like what the government is planning to do or whatever. And one of the things that they're saying is that parents can't do their work because they're trying to, homeschool the kids or whatever. But, in your situation, you're still able to like fully work and fully raise your children at the same time. It doesn't seem to be like a disconnect of it's one or the other, which is interesting because, we get to kind of take a look at how the rest of America is, and the world really, but how the rest of the US is doing life right now in the midst of this pandemic. And I just love when I connect with people who are like, oh, the pandemic is like an opportunity, if nothing else. And second of all, like, why are you allowing something on the outside of you to affect all of your life? That is something on the outside. And I'm big into you can't control all of the things, but you can definitely control how you respond to them. And if you decide that this is a pandemic, and if you decide that this is a crisis situation, and not at all to downplay the seriousness of people's health and things like that, but it really is about your mindset. You could have gone through these past 12 weeks or however long it's been now, thinking that, this is overwhelming, it's too much, I can't do this another day, and all of this. Or you could have had, your type of mindset, a growth mindset of like, no, this is nothing but an opportunity, and everything is going to come out of this in a better way. I love that too. I think it's so appropriate for right now, especially this time,
Right. So here's my thing. If no one's taking advantage of this, especially business owners or people, maybe you want to write a book about your life. Maybe you want to implement a program. I rebranded my business in the pandemic, and I was able to change it from Interview Me Now to the Resume Chop Shop. And it got so much exposure. My views and likes are going up. My follows are going up. My clientele is coming up. I'm getting more people. All because I told someone just last night, actually on Facebook, I posted like, I'm not sure if I would have been working full time if I would have. The idea it potentially would have came later when I couldn't refocus on my rebrand. So in these I've been home for about 6 weeks now. Yeah, today makes 6 weeks. And I've rebranded. Then I even created Girls Gone Vet, my new group on Facebook, because we're in a lot of business groups and it's teaching us how to gain business, how, exposure. But the problem that I was having with the groups is, yeah, I've been in business going on 2 years, but I still have to learn the social media piece. Like I have to learn these hashtags and how to draw in clients and, how to use that platform. So we created Girls Gone Vet. Girls Gone Vet is basically any veteran female owner. If you own a business, any type of business, if you own a mentorship program, we're literally getting on this page and we're sharing how we got to the forefront of where we are, or we're sharing, hey, who knows how to do social media advertising? What apps are you guys using to generate your posts? What are you using to make posts? What apps? Oh, you're using Over and you're using Canva. Okay, great. How are you scheduling it? How are you scheduling your appointments? What are you using to reach out to your customers? Like I just learned how to airdrop, how I can go into when outside opens up, as they say, I'll be able to go and airdrop my business card to people who have iPhones. Like, how cool is that? You don't even have to really make physical contact. You just click airdrop and everybody around that airdrop on receives your business card. Like, how cool is that? Because when it opens up, we're still going to be scared, but we still have that ability to touch people organically, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm learning those types of things. I'm learning how to interact with people. Like right now, I'm mentoring about 10 to 12 ladies on accident, just from giving knowledge from what I've learned in my business. And I'm like, hey, I think you should they'll send me their webpage. Hey, can you look at it? Hey, go look at this page. She's a small business owner as well. Your visual enhancement needs help. When you're posting on Facebook, Maybe you need to get a ring, like brighten up your atmosphere so people can have a clear view of your picture. No, I don't even sell anything. On accident, I started selling t-shirts for my own brand. So it was unintentional, like I wasn't trying to, but it's really taking the atmosphere, taking this pandemic and capitalizing, because anybody that doesn't capitalize right now, everyone is sitting at home. This is how you build your crowd. This is how you get your views. Now people actually have time to research your brand and research your company because they're sitting at home. Even the people who work from home, they have the ability to look more.
Absolutely. And, I just for me personally, I've noticed such a huge spike in the amount of people that are wanting to sign up for individual life coaching, literally without me doing anything. It was because people were sitting down to research their own issues now on YouTube, that they would come across my channel, and then they would reach out to me like, I went to your website. I see that you do one-on-one coaching. Do you have the availability to work with me? And so I think exactly what you're saying is so true. Like, what are you doing right now to set you up for success as soon as everything opens back up, as soon as we are able to go back to life as normal, or our new normal, whatever that will be? What are you doing to set yourself up for success, right? When that time comes, because if you're not prepping for it, and if you're not thinking ahead, you're going to be behind, because I guarantee you, everybody who wants to be successful and be successful business owners have already been doing that this entire time. They've been looking for ways to meet the needs, and even the new needs that have emerged because of the coronavirus, because of the shutdown. There's just different holes in our society that are popping up now, different needs that need to get filled. And so, yeah, absolutely, you're going to be behind if you haven't been doing that. And I'm super passionate about helping women start business, and vets start businesses as well. I teach a class on how to do that, and how to set up a solid business plan and everything to do with that. So I'm way into, why are you not using this time to like research that dream that's in your heart, like get it out into the world. It needs to come out, and we need to be able to partake of it. Bless me by creating a business I want to go to, I want to buy from. So I just love that. I love your attitude, Akea. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story. Do you have anything else that you want to talk about before we wrap up? This has just been so inspiring. Seriously, I am so grateful for you to come on and share your story with everybody. And I know that there's great things in the future for you. Do you have anything else you want to talk about?
No, I'm just thankful that the way that we connected through the VRB, I'm glad that was an option. And like, I felt bad because I kept telling Justin, I'm going to call you. And then every time I said I was going to call him, I just couldn't get to the phone fast enough. I'm doing resumes because I keep telling people, hey, get your resume done when outside opens up. The hiring frenzy is going to be crazy. Be ready. Don't listen. I can only take so many resumes a day because I have children. So, get prepared. And so when I was telling Justin about what I had going on, you like immediately popped up in his mind. Well, he's like, I'm gonna connect you guys. You have to talk to her. So I'm beyond thankful that I was, I guess my timing was right on time, because who's to say that when I first met him, you would have popped up? Just who knows? And so
exactly, that's right.
That I was able to connect with both of you guys, because I think this is amazing. I've watched your videos. I love what you talk about, because I'm like, I know exactly what she's talking about. I've dealt with those people too. So I love it, because it makes it real when you can actually converse with somebody that actually kind of has the same mindset as you, in the sense of, everyone owns a business, but just because you own a business doesn't mean that we can connect on the intellectual level that I can pass on and progress. So it was very nice, to get with both of you guys and just start letting this blossom and build a relationship. And I'm being thankful that you dropped the videos for Girls Gone Vet, because they love it. They love the motivational speeches. A lot of outreach. The one that I put on Monday, I forgot to post the one yesterday because we just kept having power outages, so I wasn't able to be active as much as I wanted to yesterday because of the connection. But
Yeah, you guys
I am
keep a key
so
in your prayers, because there's been tornadoes coming through, and she's been having electrical outages because of the tornadoes. So keep her in your prayers when you think about it. Yeah, no, and no worries. Yeah, no, I completely agree. You know, I love the VRV. For those of you who aren't familiar, Veterans Referring Veterans, it's an amazing organization. If you're a veteran, go look them up. Basically, they just help. It's a website. It's a network of veterans who own small businesses, and a way to kind of get your name out there to the veteran community. And there's a website that you can put your business profile on. And Justin, the owner, the founder of BRV, he does a lot to promote your business on social media and stuff like that. So go check it out. But yeah, I'm so grateful for Justin. He's awesome. And for you for reaching out, first of all, because yeah, exactly. Like, I know we all have busy lives, and it's like, oh, I could have done that, but then I didn't because I went over here to do something. But the timing was right, and our mission just kind of aligned too, you know. And I just love that we were able to get connected and do that. So thank you again, Akea, for coming on and sharing your story. Amazing story. I'm so grateful just to know you too as a person. But thank you for coming on and sharing your story. I know that this is going to be an inspiration to so many people who are struggling out there, who are wondering, like, if I leave, what is going to happen? If I leave, will the situation ever get better for me? You know, lots of people on my channel, in fact, I think everybody on my channel is here for narcissistic abuse recovery help. And so I know that a lot of people really struggle with staying or leaving. Will my situation ever grow? And you continuously throughout your whole testimony show that it doesn't matter, as long as you just didn't give up. And I try to tell that to my clients too. Like, I think like 80% of the battle is just not stopping. Like, just don't quit.
Right.
You know, you might not
Right.
get
And I know it's hard. It gets hard because you want to,
Yeah.
you know, you're like, oh, I just don't feel like it. Guess what?
Yes.
The grass,
Yes.
and my opinion, the grass is greener on the other side.
Exactly.
It can't get any
Exactly.
worse, right? It can't.
That's right. Yes. Like 80% is just like not giving up. You might make wrong choices along the way. And if you can like learn from those choices, that's the other 20%. You know, that's it. That's how you do life. So I really appreciate
Right.
you again, just being so open and honest and telling your story, and just allowing yourself to be a vessel to share your story for God's glory, first and foremost, and for inspiring other people who are really wondering. I hear like that could be your story or that could be my story, but I think to really hear your testimony in its fullest will really inspire people to kind of think about where they are right now, and is it worth waiting another 20 years in that same situation, you know, or is it time? Is it finally time to do something different? So thank you so much for sharing, Akea. This has just been such a joy to me, such a blessing to me too. And thank you so much. We're going to have to do this again.
Yes, ma'am. Anytime.
Okay, thank you so much. You guys, share this story, share it with somebody who needs to be inspired. Go back and re-listen to it. And if you need help with your resume, reach out to Akea before the shutdown ends. It's the time to get prepared for what happens when we are allowed to go outside, when we are allowed to go back to work. If you need a new job, if you were already thinking about looking for a new job, it's always a good idea to have an updated resume anyway. So get in touch with Akea. All of her contact information is going to be in the description of this video, so you can just click on the links and contact her directly, follow her on all of her social media platforms. All right, you guys, thanks again, Akea, and this will...
Dr. Angel.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye.